Greetings, YouTube. Today I'd like to talk about names. This is a Kershaw Clash. It is my current EDC. It's probably a little bit wider than my ideal EDC, and it's also not a Wharncliffe, but you know, that is just a really, really pretty blade shape. And overall, the knife is very comfortable, and it does everything I want it to do. And it's just the one that's been fascinating me the most as of late. I'm like that. Knives are often fashion as much as utility. But it still has to fit my criteria. And one of the criteria I have for a blade, besides its blade size and shape, its configuration of a clip, its opening mechanism, in this case, I've become very fond of flippers, and I think that flippers are the ideal design, is cost. Now, I am a cheap bastard. If I can get something for 20 bucks instead of 40 bucks and it does exactly what I want it to do, I'll do it. And I have found in my life that I have bumbled and stumbled into things that were somewhat generic that worked as well or better than higher cost things. So I purchase them. Occasionally I'll buy more than one of them when I find them, just so I have an extra around. Now, the reason I bring this up is there are a lot of knives in the knife world that are very pricey. And I am somewhat baffled as to why they have the price they do. Because let's face it, this is a very useful design, a very pretty design. It cost me 20 bucks. There's a similar design knife out there by Zero Tolerance. That's the company name, Zero Tolerance. Though I have to freely admit that Zero Tolerance is a very high target to aim for. In the inspection world, Zero Tolerance is a criteria. It means that there is no room for mistakes. You will not tolerate any mistakes. You will tolerate zero mistakes, or you have a zero tolerance standard. I know. I used to work in inspection. That's what I did for years. Zero Tolerance is a very high standard. I would actually be stunned if Zero Tolerance knives actually meet the Zero Tolerance standard. Would really be overwhelmingly stunned if that were true. And there's a Zero Tolerance blade out there that's very similar to this, which is probably not a shock. I would not be shocked if Kershaw had built this knife, the Clash, aimed at that same market. But you see, the Zero Tolerance version is hundreds of dollars. Yes, the materials in that knife are probably much better. The steel is probably better steel. The handle material is probably G10 or maybe even carbon fiber. I'm not sure which it is. It could be G10. I think I've seen that was orange. I don't know if they make orange carbon fiber or not. And the question most people are going to be asking themselves, is it worth it for them? And look, I have a cat here in my mouth. And the answer for me is no. No, it isn't. Because part of the price tag attached to that Zero Tolerance knife is the name Zero Tolerance. That's it. The name Zero Tolerance. And I don't want to pay for a name. I want to pay for what's in the knife and what the knife does, and does it meet what I need? And if the answer to that question is, okay, cool, this $20 knife does what I need it to do over that $300 knife, I'll buy the $20 knife. Now, if money were absolutely no object, would I buy the $300 knife? Sure, I'd just like to have it in my collection. I own lots of role-playing games that I'm never going to play because I'm a collector. I own lots of knives that I don't carry because I'm a collector. But the most expensive I ever put down on a knife was $150, and that was because it was all titanium handle, and it had silver components. Actual silver. So, yeah, I bought what it was worth, in my opinion. I didn't buy it for the name on the blade. I bought it because it met the criteria I had at the time. And because it was pretty. But just tacking a name on something like a Chris Reeves Sabenza, or a Zero Tolerance, or Surefire came up with the knife recently, which is a relatively attractive, a little angular for my taste. But it was like 300 bucks. Because it's got the name Surefire attached to it. I won't even buy Surefire flashlights because they're way over cost. There's no way that a Surefire flashlight is worth as much as they're charging. Not to mention, I don't really have many tactical needs for a flashlight. They're charging a lot because they can. Because people have convinced themselves that the name is worth something. It's like buying Adidas or Puma sneakers. You can go buy sneakers that cost a lot less that will meet your needs, last you just as long, but they don't have that logo. They don't have that name attached. I don't want that name. I'm not looking for that logo. I'm looking for characteristics that go beyond the name. Now, do I actually have a few knives in my collection that I purchased because they're classics? Yes. But they're classics, and I purchased them because of that. And they are classics because they're famous, and because they're well known, and because they do a certain thing really well. It wasn't just because the name Buck or Gerber was on the blade. As for example, you tell me Buck, I think fixed blade. You tell me Gerber, I think fixed blade. Because I've never found a folding knife from those companies that really thrills me. But I don't want to pay for a name. Yeah, I know I'm ranting here, and I apologize. But people get charged a lot for a name, and I don't think it's right. I can understand charging somebody for materials included. I can maybe kind of see why a USA-made blade costs more than one from Taiwan, because we have a much higher standard of living here. Okay. But should it be multiple times the cost of the Taiwanese blade? No, it shouldn't. I'm all for people making a profit. Okay, you've put time and effort into it. But I'm talking commercial knives here, folks. I'm not talking custom stuff. Commercial stuff. And commercial stuff shouldn't cost a lot of the things that I've seen on different channels. I watch a lot of knife channels. And I see a lot of reviews. And people are showing off knives. In one case, I've seen people showing off knives that are $700 or $800 for a commercial knife, but it's a short run. It's a sprint run. It's only gonna have 500 copies. Okay, I hope you sell them all. I'm not buying one. Well, I want to hear what you have to say. Do you think the name on a blade is important, or do you think what the blade does is more important than the name?